guys, welcome to the Sound of Accra podcast. This is a show where we chat with colourful creators and entrepreneurs from a Ghanaian background or interest, promoting global Ghanaian excellence to the world. I am joined today by a very special guest, Tim Swain. Mr. Tim Swain, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great.
Excellent.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Tim is really one of my favorite YouTubers, but it doesn't stop there, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, you can't put this guy in a box. I mean, he's an author, he's an artist, he's an educator, he's a writer, he's a speaker. I mean, the list goes on, right? But we're going to get a bit more into, Tim's background and his experience and what he does. But yeah, he's one of my favorite YouTubers out here in Ghana as well. I mean, not necessarily just the content that he puts out from Ghana, but also he's got purposeful content that has a purpose to impact people, and it's really touched me. It's really inspired me, so I'm really excited to have him here with me. For today's show notes, guys, I would like you to head over to thesoundofaccra.com/Tim Swain. So that's TIMSWAIN. Man, Tim, it's great to be with you, man.
Man, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for coming down. So we bumped into each other at Accra Konnect.
Yeah.
So shout out to Asantewa and Adrian from GH Londoners for putting that event together. I know you guys went all out with that event.
Yeah, it was
giving us free
event.
foods, and we went from just having free drinks to free food drinks and free food.
It was free drinks?
Yeah, it was free drinks. You don't know?
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. No, I didn't know.
You didn't get the memo. Okay.
I didn't get the memo, man.
What was it called? Asanta, I think she called almost every single person on the list and was telling her about the event. But even on the
I
thing,
registered late.
You registered late. Okay,
Yeah,
so you
that's
probably
what it
didn't
was.
have enough time. But that's right.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
man. Anyway, I'm sure you got
But the next one.
Next one.
Listen.
We gonna be there. We gonna be the next one. But yeah, so I bumped into Tim at Accra Konnect, and yeah, I was really shocked to see him there, because obviously I'm a huge fan of his channel, and yeah, obviously when I saw Tim speak and when I saw him do his little pitch, I was just blown away by like the power in his voice, and how well he communicates to an audience. And I was like, this guy has to be more than a YouTuber. He has to have some kind of, whether it's a poetic artist background, whatever, a performance background, if that makes sense. So yeah, Tim, great. So yeah, bumped into you at Accra Konnect.
Yeah.
Obviously we exchanged details and things like that. I want to ask you something, right? Obviously you seem like someone who, I mean, when I look at your Instagram and I go through your YouTube, there's clearly people that inspire you, but we're going to talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah.
This is just a random question. Name me some 5, or give me a few Instagram pages, that maybe public pages that you follow, that inspires you. Because I'm just curious. I'm just curious to know, like, what inspires you. But we're going to go more into that, like, in another level. But I mean, just a random little icebreaker. Is there just like name one Instagram page that inspires you?
I would say one of the ones that inspires me right now is a podcast. It's a business podcast. It's called Earn Your Leisure.
Earn Your Leisure. Yeah,
I love that podcast.
I know those guys,
because when I first started watching it, the content they were bringing, it was just real, 100% straight facts about everything in terms of business. A lot of times when you have the podcast or whatever, one of the things they say is don't give game for free, right? Don't educate people for free. But one of their goals was to be able to educate particularly marginalized communities, Black and brown communities. And the reality is you have to give something away for free.
You do, yeah.
But I mean, they would give everything from like the websites they use to start their business to, I was like, this is crazy. And the thing that stood out to me most about them was it was so much rich information. And you saw that, okay, man, when you really help people in a way that they need it, it comes back to you. So that's what inspired me. I was like, wow, these dudes. And to look at them now, it's just like, man, they've taken off.
They've blown up. I think there's a number of podcasters that have blown up like that.
Yeah.
Another one that is similar to Earn Your Leisure is David Shades? David Shades?
Yeah.
Yeah. David Never Sleeps. The Social Proof podcast.
Yeah.
Love it. He gives a lot of value in there as well. But yeah, it's good to hear that, you've got some, we have some like-minded pages that we kind of follow and we're inspired by. Hey guys, this is Adrian with a quick message from our brand new sponsors, Cream and Ting. So, are you a foodie in the UK that finds dessert options on food delivery apps a little bit basic and uninspiring? Well, you need to get yourself some Cream and Ting ice cream and indulge yourself today. They make small batch ice cream tubs with flavors that are rich and inspired by the African continent and the Caribbean. So, what are you waiting for? Get some luxury ice cream ordered straight to your door by heading over to icecreamandting.com and enjoy this experience like I am today. Thank you very much. Now back to the episode. I want to get into like your background. Like your background's quite diverse, quite experienced. Talk me through like your career. So like I know you've got like a very educated background. I know you've done a few things in your career, especially in the space of like academia, universities, and things like that. Talk me through that actually.
Yeah, I mean, most of it is a result of being confused in life. So you just do a bunch of different things. But my educational background is in communications and higher education.
Okay.
And then recently in Ghana, I did a degree in theology.
Okay.
And really it was stemmed from my desire was, I took communication studies thinking that communications was the same thing as public speaking.
Yeah.
It wasn't. But I thought it was going to help me be a better speaker. But nevertheless, I did that. I didn't know what I wanted to do after 4 years of school. Someone said you should do higher education because you're doing leadership programs all the time on campuses. So I was like, yo, people get paid to do that? I was like, yeah, that's what we do.
Absolutely. So
I didn't know what I was going to do. So I went and got a master's degree in higher education at Texas State University.
Okay.
Amazing institution.
I heard so much about TSU. They usually refer it to, right?
Texas State.
Texas State.
Yeah,
okay.
TSU is Texas Southern.
Oh, okay. It's a different university. Okay,
yeah, it's a different university. It's all good, man.
I don't want to tread where I've never been. Texas yet.
Most people ain't gonna trip like that. But I didn't know, man, and I think that for me, it was really like seeing the power of education. I know people that transform my life, particularly in academia, who could explain to you why you were feeling a certain way, who can explain to you why certain systems were in place and who had history. And then later on, when I did my my degree here in Ghana, it was really based off of I wanted to get more perspective about the spirituality of African peoples, but I didn't want it from a Western perspective. And I knew I was not going to be able to find the type of institution I wanted, which is basically an African or a Black institution centered in Pan-African values that's teaching from a Black theological or African theological perspective in the States. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
so
because there's so much.
Yeah, so I came here to Ghana and I did that, man, but my first love is poetry, though.
Yeah,
that's my first love, like beyond the shadow of a doubt. Yeah.
Okay, like how did you get into poetry? I'm sure you.
Yeah, so growing up, everybody rapped.
Oh man.
I mean, everybody was rapping
rapped as well.
Everybody wants to be a rapper. Yeah. But I realized rapping it was very confined. Like I wanted to like scream or yell or shout.
Yeah.
And you can't necessarily do that in the way that I wanted to. But I was like maybe 17 or something like that. I went to a club in Houston and I saw this guy on stage. I forgot the name of the spot now, but down in Houston, this guy on stage and he was doing something I never saw. Like he was just going off and like the radiance, the cadence. And I said, what is that?
What?
I said, that's spoken word. Yeah. I said, wow. And he just seemed so free and so like just unconstrained. And I went home and I tried to write one and it was terrible, but I kept doing it. And it was, I mean, that's my first love, man. Yeah. When I'm on the stage and I'm doing like poetry, I feel like, I literally feel like invincible, man. I really feel like this gift God has given me the impact.
Do you know like the Jackie Hill Perrys, Joseph Solomons, those kind of guys?
Yeah. So funny story is, I mean, I met Jackie Hill Perry a long time ago through a conference. It's called the Impact Movement.
Okay.
And someone told me about one of her poems. And I usually, I see a lot of poetry, so it's kind of like, whatever. Yeah. But I remember, when you remember where you were when you heard a song or something like that, that means it's impactful.
Yeah.
Jackie Hill Perry had a poem called My Life as a Stud.
Yeah.
I was at my desk at Austin Community College at the Pinnacle campus.
Okay.
If somebody's watching this from the States and they know that. I watched her poem.
Okay.
I literally pushed my seat away from the desk.
Whoa.
I was almost in tears.
Oh my
because of the authenticity and the sincerity, but yet the creativity and innovation in that poem. I said, who is this person? And it was crazy, man. So I met her some years later at this conference, man. And anyway, man. And so, like a lot of folks, man, she skyrocketed that whole P4CM movement.
That's it. I was trying to remember the movements that she's associated with. I mean, and they have like a poetry kind of background as well, P4CM.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it was amazing. I mean, it took off, man. It really gave people a lot of platform to be creative, particularly in the Christian community, to talk about issues related to that. So yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Because like I was going through your website. I was like, man, this guy's like, is he performing? Is he a performer? Or is he an artist? What is he? But then I think it kind of makes sense. How you got into that. So you got into poetry. And you released like a little album, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, man. I did. I released an album called Stained Glass Poetry.
Yeah.
You can actually find it on Spotify and everything like that. Yeah. So I released it, man. I think it was a great opportunity for me to get my voice out there.
Yeah.
And your first project, it was like, I was like listening to some of the engineering. I was like, oh, that's not a big deal. But now I listen, I'm like, oh my God. Why didn't you fix that little, tweak the little that? You as an artist, you're like the most critical on yourself.
Yeah.
So when I hear it now, I'm just like, but anyway.
Yeah, it gives you goosebumps. Like it's like people don't like hearing their own voice sometimes.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, you just get better over time.
Yeah.
The more content you put out. So okay, so did you get into rapping at all? It was just poetry.
Yeah, I used to rap, man, because
was that before your poetry days.
Yeah, so when in Houston, I'm not sure if you're familiar with like the type of music like called screw music. Like it's very slow.
Okay, chopped and screwed.
Yes, exactly, right. So that originated in Houston.
Yeah, I heard.
The person who started there was DJ Screw.
DJ Screw.
So that was, I mean,
wow, all these people.
All those, right? So I mean, I was actually around some of those people growing up because my brother is a barber, and so like some of the studios used to be just right there.
Yeah,
and so you just kind of grew up in that environment, and then and so I was like, man, I want to rap, and I rap, man, and I just, like I said, things shifted when I saw that poet. Because I felt like rapping was too, like, for me, it was too confined. Like, I wanted to just, like, scream at
and stuff, yeah.
And it doesn't sound like you, like, rapping, like, out of nowhere. Like, what?
It's a bit more poetry.
That's crazy. Yeah, but everybody rapped, man. Every young black boy rapped at some point.
Yeah. Okay. But what was your, like, did you have, like a career or, like, a dream that you wanted to do? Like, in terms of, like, I wanted to be this or I wanted to be this or... Man,
it's going to sound crazy, but my dream was to actually do what I'm doing now. When I was young, I said that when I'm older, when I turn like 40, I'm not even there yet. Okay. I said I'm going to settle down, get like a square church girl, and go around the world doing poetry and like working in the communities. Yeah. And so, I mean, I have a girl. She's not a square church girl, but I have a wife now. I'm not 40, and I literally get to be able to, especially to work in Ghana and other places. I mean, I'm able to really do what I feel like God has called me to do. But that was my dream, and I wanted to just be like, I just wanted to be, around the world, well known for really bringing the gifts and talents that I have to impact and empower other people. That was it, man.
Yeah. So, wow. I mean, that's really powerful because there's most people would say, oh, they wanted to be like a celebrity, want to be a singer, a rapper, an artist. I mean, I wanted to be an athlete when I was growing up. So I wanted to be like the next Usain Bolt, whatever, but for the UK kind of thing. Wow. Whatever. Carl. I mean, I can't remember the name of the sprinters from the UK, but anyway, that won Olympic gold and stuff like that. But I mean, originally I wanted to be like an Olympic sprinter, and when I moved to Ghana when I was in 2001, that dream kind of got shattered because obviously I was no longer having access, to that platform, to the facilities. So it went. And then when I got into music at 16, just like how you kind of got into poetry, I wanted to be a music producer. I got exposed to rapping. I got exposed to Fruity Loops and making beats in America. As soon as I got back to London, I was like, I want to be a music producer and stuff. And then obviously that dream got shattered when I got to university and I became a Christian. So so I think for me it's like I had certain dreams, but then God can maybe change things around your life and then give you a bit more purpose. So I love that the fact that you want to live your life with purpose, and you don't have the typical stereotypical dreams. Oh, I want to be this, I want to be that. Like you want to go out and make an impact, like from the get go, and that's really inspiring. That's quite rare, in all honesty.
Now I wanted to be. I mean, like everybody, I wanted to be rich and famous and buy my mother a house. Yeah. I mean, that's like the young black boys starter kit for dream, right? Yeah. What's been sold as the American dream, like to the whole world, kind of thing. Yeah, okay, cool. But so look, you touched upon communities, Tim. I want to talk about that. You seem to be a community-driven, purpose-driven gentleman.
let's talk about the actually, and also this kind of overlaps a little bit with the poetry thing.
Yeah.
Talk me through was it the Gun and Knife campaign you did in London? I mean, for London.
The anti-bullying thing.
Anti-bullying, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's it.
So what happened was this, man. I was doing a poem one day at the university, and a guy who was doing, I think he was doing either internship or something like that in higher education. He saw it. He was like, "Yo, I want to take this back to London."
Yeah.
And long story short, what really the real story is, well, I ain't gonna tell the real story, but I'll make it the nice story. What happened was we communicated, and he utilized the poem. It was a poem called "Why I Write."
Okay.
And I wrote the poem because I was a part of a diversity team, so it was like challenged with like write a poem about why different people write, whether you are black, white, gay, straight, whatever. Mm-hmm. You know, and so he loved it. He went back, and I don't know what he did, but he took it back and he created this whole campaign around anti-bullying. Yeah. It made like the BBC and stuff like that. And the way I found out about it was I didn't really know that was happening actually. Yeah. What happened was I was just bored one night in my dorm room, and I said, let me Google my name. Yeah. And it came up in London. I said, really? That's interesting. Tim Swain's Why I Write Anti-Bullying. I said, wow.
You didn't know about your own.
No, I didn't, man. I didn't.
That's hilarious.
I put it on my resume now. So
yeah.
I mean, everything worked out, man. I mean, the guy. I mean, he was a really amazing dude. He is a really amazing guy. Okay. Just a big fan of the content and just wanted to see it, accomplish his higher purpose. So yeah. So that's how that happened.
And was that written or oral?
It was the thing that he did in London. Yeah. What happened was, actually we reproduced it back in the States. So basically, it was like this big diversity program. Okay. And then there was about, I don't remember how many parts of the poem it was, but maybe 4 perspectives or 5 perspectives. Okay. So each person memorized a part of the poem and they stood up embodying that piece. Yeah. And then I closed out the performance, as a last part. So wonderful. Yeah. So it was a performance piece.
Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah. And I think probably for that particular time, it was quite big in terms of, the whole, bullying campaign. Probably at that time, I think bullying was pretty much a thing. It was trending in London at that time. So, yeah, man, shout out to you. And talk me through, because obviously, you've got a thing, or you've been involved in working within underrepresented communities. Yeah. In America, right? Yeah. But I mean, I wouldn't really say it's would you say it's the projects, the ghettos, or was it more kind of just
all of it? All of it. I mean, people.
Or just the more kind of underprivileged areas.
Yeah, I mean, people you got your education terms, low socioeconomic, under resourced, underutilized, marginalized. But at the end of the day, it's the hood. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, I didn't grow up poor. I don't have a story like my mom was on crack, my dad was in jail. No, yeah. I grew up with 2 parents. Okay. Weren't perfect, stable family, but they did their best. Okay. My father, my mother, they always provided the type of environment where we had something to eat and all that. Mm-hmm. But I was really I was here. The hood was right there. It was very close. And so, I have.
Was this in Texas State?
No, this is in Houston.
In Houston. Okay.
I mean, oh my God! I mean, it's so much.
So within Texas State.
Yeah. So it's a lot of crime and stuff like that. And so, and I have brothers that was one of my brothers was selling drugs and stuff like that. So I was exposed to the environment. Okay. But I think what I saw more than anything was the first place of trying to make an impact is really looking at the things in life that we are deficient in. You know what I'm saying? So I was deficient in friends and meaningful relationships, but I wanted to give back because I knew there's other people out there like me. So I started, and I honestly, man, I really just believe it was something that God put in my heart. It ain't no I just had this drive and this desire. No, at the end of the day, God put it in my heart to really just know that it wasn't about me, even before I had a personal relationship with Him. Yeah. But I mean, from a young age, man, I was volunteering at libraries and stuff like that. And like I said, I had this vision, one day I'm going to go and make an impact in communities around the world. And I just that's just been a trend that started when I was 16. I remember I volunteered the local library, helping kids read and stuff like that. Yeah. And just the feeling that you get when you can help somebody else, or we was on all kind of social programs. I can't play, I literally can't play football, basketball, or anything. Like, I can't dribble a ball or anything like this. So I was not involved in sports in school.
You're not involved in any kind of sports activities like that. It was just kind of like, it's always kind of social focused.
Yeah, I mean, like,
that you've been involved
so
in.
while everybody else was doing like the football and basketball, it was like, hey, here's this leadership club in school.
Yeah.
And it was like other kind of like,
That
you know,
built you more.
dorky leaders. And I was like, okay, I fit in here.
Yeah.
And they were like doing things. And I was like, this is really cool to see what kind of an impact you can have on somebody else. And that's just been something I think that has stuck with me. You know what I'm saying?
Wow, that's quite powerful. And was there any low moments that you went through just being involved in those environments? Like, was there any kind of like any really kind of tough moments that you kind of went through because you were in that environment? Was there any tough things that you, or maybe you witnessed in that area that kind of made you realize, oh man, like I really, really need to do something about helping these communities, helping these environments to become better? I don't know if that makes sense to you.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough, man. You know, like, it's kind of like, it's similar too, because like when I moved to Ghana, I realized like there's so many similarities, I think, just in impoverished communities everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
So particularly, you know, my focus is Black America. Yeah. I'm Black unapologetically. That's what I am. That's what I do. And when you go to a lot of our environments, man, when you understand the history of why the environment is the way that it is, I think that's the most saddening part, because when you realize, oh, you know, this particular part of the city has no money because, you know, just 70 years ago, Black people couldn't live here, right? And then these other people maybe came and built structures, but didn't allow, you know, my grandfather and them to even work here.
Yeah.
So or even live here. So while your grandfather was accumulating wealth via real estate, my grandfather didn't have the opportunity to do that. And now your children's children are benefiting from that.
Yeah.
So when you understand that, okay, it's a systemic issue, that's what I'm trying to get to, that a lot of the issues are systemic. That's the part that becomes really challenging. I think that my most recent position when I worked in Indianapolis, Indiana, I worked on the east side, which is basically like, you know, the hood again.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of amazing, creative, talented people, but you see the traumas that they've experienced that is literally like a weight holding them back. Like when you have somebody that's 19 telling you very casually, oh yeah, I saw my brother get killed when I was 10 and my cousin get killed when I was, you know, 12. And his, you know, just gross stuff that a kid should not go through.
Yeah.
At 19 or 20, it makes you just like, man, like this is crazy.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
So these are kind of things that get you, you know, that kind of get you stirred up and wanting to take action.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. And how did you actually end up in Ghana? Because obviously you just mentioned talking about how you have had a passion for, you know, maybe going around the world and maybe even just getting involved in Pan-Africanism. I mean, how did you kind of end up? I mean, obviously, like your career, your academia. I mean, of course, it's quite, you know, kind of like relevant to, you know, big people in Africa and some movements that's taken place in Africa, whether it's a Kwame Nkrumah or whatever. Yeah. Like, how did you actually end up right here in Ghana then?
This is gonna really sound like a really cliche answer.
Go for it.
But it's really by God's grace, man, because I didn't grow up in a family that pushed like know your roots, know where you come from.
Yeah.
And not to their fault, but what happened was I always had this desire to like, I knew that being Black was not what I was told.
Yeah.
And along the way, I read books that transformed my life. One of the most powerful books I read was the autobiography of Malcolm X. I read that when I was like 14, and it changed my paradigm about being a very strong, value-centered, God-centered person of African descent.
Yeah.
And when he talked about Africa, you know, one of his quotes is, you know, you can't hate the roots of a tree and not hate the tree, right? And he has so many other quotes about Africa, and it just piqued my curiosity. But fast forward to, you know, it was almost like a pipe dream. The way you want to be a rapper. Yeah. I want to go to Africa because you don't really, or I didn't really know anyone that's traveled to the continent. Yeah. Like there's no one in my family. Yeah. No one in my immediate circle was going back. Yeah. But I got involved. You know, what happened was really, I always wanted to go, but I got involved in an organization called the Impact Movement, which is a nonprofit that works in communities of African descent. And they were doing a mission trip. Wow. And they said, we're going to Africa. But they said, we're going to Ghana. All I heard was Africa. I said, I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I'm going.
I want to say this, right? A lot of Americans that I've been around or I've seen, especially African Americans, some, I don't know why some of them look down on Africa, or they see Africa as, it's like when they mention Africa, it's like
It's a bush.
Like not even that is a bush. Like it's not even like they see Africa like a country. Africa.
It's true.
Yeah, it's true.
It's true.
Same thing with London. One of my friends, when I was in Virginia or whatever, right? One of my friend's friend thought Africa, London was a country.
Yeah.
So so there's a little bit of ignorance. There's
Yeah.
a little bit of Africa is is nothing.
Yeah.
But when they actually come here, it's like, oh man, I want actually to buy land and everything.
Yeah,
Things
yeah.
like that. Like, where do you think that comes from? Like,
It's our
looking
training,
down,
man.
It's just the brainwashing. Or...
I mean, if you think about it, let's say my family is representative of, I think, a lot of families, which is there's historically, without trying to get too complicated, but historically, Africa was divorced. Positive images, positive understanding and interpretation of Africa was intentionally divorced from the mind of the African during the transatlantic slave trade.
Okay.
It was intentional.
Yeah.
And so even to the point you would get beat for trying to retain remnants of your Afrocentricity, such as your name. There's a famous movie called Roots.
Yeah.
And, he's getting beaten. It's like, what's your name? It's like Kunta Kinte. So basically he beats him until he says, my name is Toby. Okay. It's a fictional movie, but it is representative of actual events that happen. So if you imagine, let's say your great-great-great-great-grandfather was like, you were told all these negative things about Africa, right? Yeah. After a while, you lose the consciousness where there's no auntie, there's no uncle there where you're reminded of food or anything like that. Yeah. And then your circle is who you hang around. So who do you know that's going there? True. So if you take even just recently, let's just say my grandfather, they may not have a consciousness of what it, like, there's no more historical memory. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist in their mindset. Okay. And then what you're taught in school, literally most school black history is this. Slavery, civil rights, Martin Luther King, and now Barack Obama. And that's it. That's it. Wow. No, literally, that is the black history curriculum. Oh my gosh. and we don't really know. Yeah. Like we don't have, like, let's say I have a friend like you to say, hey man, you've been to Ghana, like tell me what it's really like. Yeah. And I can ask those silly questions like, is it lions? Is it tigers? And you not judge me, right? Yeah. To be able to say, wow, okay, now I want to go. Yeah. So I think it's just the historically just being miseducated, undereducated, and just not having a network of people who've actually been to tell you like, oh, this is really what it is. This is what it's not. Let me show you some pictures from my trip. Okay. So basically, it's just not being exposed to Africa, pretty much, African culture, and pretty much the continent. The continent makes a lot of sense. And like you would think that some of these, you think like maybe platforms like maybe CNN, who does give visibility to Africa. I think before we started recording this, I talked to you about how my dad got me into watching African Voices, which inspired me. I think that played a role in creating this podcast. So you would think that there's enough media, there's enough content out there for you to have some visibility to Africa. I mean, of course, now Ghana's a bit more on the map now. Return and things like that. But still, like, you still get some ignorance. But it's crazy. But anyway, fast forward, you've moved to Ghana. Yeah. I mean, you still obviously traveled to America quite a bit. What's been your first impressions like of Ghana? Like, what were your first impressions when you came over? Actually, people, listen. If there's a Ghanaian watching this right now, like a Ghanaian is gonna laugh at what I'm gonna say. But when I first came here in 2007, I said, "Man, this is heaven."
Really?
Seriously. I'm serious, man.
Like you hadn't really experienced. What was it that made? Okay, it? So everything. Like
what it was is people really don't understand what it's like. Some people don't understand what it's like every day to be reminded that your skin color is a liability. Every day you're reminded. Okay. So when you come to Ghana, and you literally just feel like a human being. Yeah, it's the feeling of just like. I can relax. Like I don't have to worry. Like
no tension.
No
racial tension.
So that
did you get that a lot in America?
Man, listen, Charlie, that's every day.
Every day.
Yeah, that's like asking about police corruption in Ghana. It's every day.
USA is tough, man. Because in the UK, it's there, but it's not as strong as intense as America. Yeah, I've never really experienced it.
Yeah. So I mean, and I think the challenge is when you know more about history, then you can contextualize what you see differently. So when you see, oh, this is why America relatively in terms of population is one of the more smaller countries in the world, but yet we incarcerate people at a higher rate than anybody in the whole world. And then you look at who makes up most of the populations, African Americans and the Hispanic population.
Yeah.
And you say, well, man, are just black people just prone to criminality? And then when you understand the history, you realize, oh, no, actually, this is very systemic.
Yeah.
It's very systemic and very intentional. So I think that's the challenge. So when you start knowing all of these things,
It's patterns, yeah.
and then you come to a place like Ghana where you're ignorant, to a degree of like the history, systemic issues, the stuff that you may see after living here for a couple of years.
Yeah.
All you see is I'm not a black person.
Yeah.
And I think it was just, let me tell you exactly what it was. When we got off the plane, this was a while ago when you had to like get off the plane and catch the bus to
that terminal.
And the old terminal had the lady that with the fruit basket that said Aquaba. Like that was the old terminal.
I missed that terminal, man.
So you get off the plane and it's the red dirt, and you're thinking like, wow, this is the dust that God made human beings from. That's what you see.
Now he's speaking poetry, guys.
That's what you see.
But it's true.
And then you see people who look like you everywhere.
Yeah.
You're just mesmerized.
You just like, you can't believe it. I can't believe like, everyone's black here.
I'm telling you.
That's what one guest said in season 1. She had a similar experience.
And because we've never lived in that reality, you see the billboards and you're just literally mesmerized.
Yeah.
And I think it was also, I felt like there was a 7-week trip the first time I came.
Okay.
And
when you came, was it? You said was it through a mission trip?
Yeah. It was a mission trip. It was college students, black college students. It was about 12 or 13 of us from all over the U.S. and we went to like Sunyani, Kumasi, all these different places.
Like a crash course in Ghana, basically.
Yeah. It was interesting because we did more like evangelism. We didn't really learn anything about the culture except just like on the fly. Like there was no courses or anything like that. But being in the environment was enough to take in. And actually some of the relationships I developed with Ghanaians there are actually some of our partners now with the nonprofit that we have. But it was just seeing the beauty of the people. And I tell this story and some other things, but I'll tell it here very quickly. Even interpretations of what beauty is, I didn't realize how skewed mine was. Like I thought beautiful was like blonde hair and blue eyes. And that doesn't mean that's not beautiful. That just may be a variation of it. I thought the epitome of beauty was like that. Because people been brainwashed, right? Like Barbie doll and all this kind of stuff. And so when I was in the States, I said, I'm going to marry a white woman. And I want to get this clear, not in a way like as a I'm not a person that's like anti this. You got to marry. You marry who you want to love. Yeah. But I'm speaking to the magnitude of the brainwashing, believing that there's one standard of beauty, right? And success means that it looks like this. But when I came to Ghana, Charlie, as a single guy, even though I was a Christian, my eyes were not blind.
Temptations. Temptations. gotta eat it.
Is that thing natural?
Oh man, you're ducking and diving, right? It's not ducking and diving.
Man, I'm telling you.
Oh man,
I went back. I promise you, man. I went back to the States and I said, God, I want to marry a black woman.
Okay.
I'm not kidding you.
So that got rid of the whole I want to marry a white woman thing.
But it was I saw beauty in a different way.
Okay,
and it exposed me to okay. I thought that this was the only standard of beauty. Yeah, but I didn't know. I hadn't seen Ghana beauty yet. That African beauty. That African beauty. That shea butter, opened, like organic. You had epiphany of African beauty. Wow, man, that's powerful. I think I went through a similar kind of transformation. I think when I was younger, you know what? It really is your environment that's what it is. Dictates. That's what it is. When I was younger, right, I was like primary school. I was like one of the only black kids in my primary school. Of course, when I got into secondary school and university, obviously I was surrounded by a lot more black people. I was more kind of leaning towards the white lady, the white woman, being more attracted to that, or light skin, mixed race, whatever. But as I got older, I started to appreciate and, be more attracted to my dark skinned sisters, my African sisters, my black sisters, and that kind of whole mindset of wanting a white woman, it disappeared. You understand? Yeah. So I definitely see where you're coming from. Wow, that's powerful, powerful, powerful stuff. And so your first impressions were like, is heaven? Yeah. Like, what were some of the things that of course, like being black and not really having to worry about racism too much, that was one big factor. Was there any other things that you said that really stood out to you when you came? I felt like I was lied to, because I told you, right? Black history is slavery, Martin Luther King. We didn't have Barack Obama back then, but that's where it ended.
It's true.
So when I got here, I said, wow, and I started hearing stories, the Ashanti Kingdom, this kingdom, and that, and this, and this. I said, whoa.
So now you're starting to see black people being depicted as kind of like royalty, as kind of like ruling.
And
rather than slaves. It was different. It's literally polar opposites.
Exactly.
So like what's maybe depicted in Black Panther, all these kind of movies.
Yeah.
Like that. That's another story.
So it was just transformative to see and live in an environment where, number one, I didn't have the consciousness of blackness every day being the central forefront of my identity. But then I got to question, well, who am I if I'm not a black person first?
Yeah.
Right. And, so it was those things. And I think just the different lifestyles. And I think when I saw some of the similarities, for example, when I went to church for the first time in Ghana, we went to a very charismatic church.
Yeah.
And some of my other friends that, weren't used to that church. I grew up in a very charismatic church, like charismatic, like.
Is it one of those churches where they're all like, shouting or hollering?
Yes.
If you take this and that kind of thing, yeah. And then you're hearing the organ, and you're hearing the organs play along with it. Is it that kind of church? I'm sorry, I haven't got the best impression, but I've of course I've watched a lot of like African American movies.
So now I see what it sounds like, for others who watch it. Yeah. That's what it was. The God is you gonna do in the name of And it was like I grew up in a church where I was very Pentecostal church, laying on hands, healing, and people running around screaming, falling out. So when I came to Ghana,
dramatic,
and I saw that same thing, honestly, it felt like home.
Okay.
So it really made me question, like, there's linkages between these places.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the resources or the capacity to research, but I had that question planted in my mind, like, there's a lot of similarities between us.
Okay.
So where did they come from? And it just placed that in my mind, at that time, of like, we have a lot in common.
Yeah. But it's the fact that America heavily influences Africa, especially Ghana. It heavily influences Ghana. So you'd probably think that some of these Ghanaian, church leaders, etc., they would look to kind of like the American leaders and they try and emulate what they're seeing out there.
Yeah,
to an extent.
Yeah. To an extent, but then even if you look at the history of like, let's say like what folks call the primal religion, right? It's not just African, but it's just more like African religion is more primal, like connected with the earth and the universe and all that, and animals and different deities, and other, religions have the same thing. But if you look at, for example, like if you go to a church, some churches in Ghana, it's very charismatic. People are very loud and stuff like that. And it sometimes, regardless of the denomination, you may find some of those same like highly charismatic, things, right? And when you took those Africans from Africa and they went to places like the West Indies, Brazil, they went to the States, they didn't lose that Africanness in their styles of worship. In fact, a lot of it is incorporated into what we do. And that's where it comes from, right? It comes from West Africa. But, without getting into a long discourse, you don't know the history. And so, for example, for me, I was taught that, basically it's wrong, right? Like you guys are too charismatic. You're running around. It's too much.
It's too much, yeah.
But this is more of a sophisticated way of doing it. Like you're more refined, more, educated. But when I realized where it came from, it made me appreciate, right?
Yeah.
Both, right? There's a value in being able to express yourself authentically. But when you don't have the history to contextualize what you're seeing, the lens that you view it through may be a negative one.
Yeah.
And I think so now when I see
context,
it, now granted, some things, Charlie, I'm like, oh, this is too much.
Man, yeah, I think so.
But it's not like this is wrong, anything like that. It just made me contextualize things differently.
Definitely, yeah. Look, while we're on the topic of Christianity and churches, I was going to go there later on, but let's probably go there now. So of course, you put out a video.
Doesn't fall down.
That's okay.
Sorry. To make sure.
It's fine.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. So yeah, you put out a video talking about why you stopped going to church in Ghana.
Yeah.
Okay. And some of the points you made were quite valid. First and foremost, I think, of course, if you have the Holy Spirit, if you have the Bible, if God is everywhere, you can still communicate with God, you can still fellowship, etc. And especially the church started in the houses, right? It didn't really start in the building, whatever. So if you've got people around you who are of the faith and you can fellowship with them and you can worship God with the Bible and etc., then you're good. That's the first thing I want to say. Secondly, I think, of course, like in Ghana, right? I mean, right now, there's lots of controversy. I mean, you've got pastors who raking in maybe millions or thousands of dollars. You know, they're driving very flashy cars. I mean, I know one of my friends, pastors, drives a Ferrari in Ghana. You know what I mean? Each to their own. You know. It's each to their own. You've got the ministries or the churches that are mega churches, thousands of people. We won't name them, but thousands of people. And then you'll question, you'll question the content, i.e., is it prosperity gospel? And then you're going to have churches that are double standards. You understand? I mean, it's a mess. You understand? It's a mess. So it's really hard to find, authentic churches in Ghana, and it's really hard to find authentic communities because a lot of the churches in Ghana are portrayed as, businesses or establishments. And my father actually, I think one of the things that stops him from coming to the Christian faith properly is the way he perceives churches and ministries in Ghana as a business, and just trying to take their money and not really giving them much in return, and they're suffering kind of thing, and they haven't really got their breakthroughs and stuff. What's your depiction? Talk me through your Ghanaian churches through your lenses and the issues that you're seeing, you're spotting.
I mean, I made that video because I realized when I had conversations off camera with a lot of people, my sentiments were their sentiments. It's just that they felt like they couldn't say it. Yeah. Right. Ghana is more. It's not about the individual. In the States, it's the individual. In Ghana, it's more about the family, how you're perceived by society, and everything like that. So I had the liberty, in a sense, to talk about things that some people felt like they couldn't talk about. But the reality was, it was more so me being in a place of analyzing the. Of course, this is not all Ghana. You know what I mean? I'm not going to dare say I've been to every Ghana church because that's not, and I'm not going to depict that. But I think that I was just, honestly, man, I was just tired, dude. I was tired of not having a deeper, more substantive, more practical presentation of biblical truth. Yeah. I came to Ghana and I just was like, Charlie, why is there rubbish everywhere? But yet as leaders, and we're mostly Christian, but we're not addressing this issue.
This is why I said double standards, right?
You know what I'm saying? We will complain about a lady wearing something and this and that, or even if you want to go there, we'll complain about GLBTQ. Yeah. But it's like, I guarantee you, if you did a survey of like 1 million Ghanaians and you ask them, what are your top 3 concerns right now? Yeah. Some of the issues that we are so emphatic about in our churches would not make that list. I guarantee you.
It's true. It's true.
They'll be concerned about jobs. Yeah. Maybe education. Yeah. Just maybe overall, like, how do I make a better life for myself? Yeah. Just the more kind of like less essential things. Exactly. Yeah. Right. So for me, it was like when I came to Ghana, it wasn't necessarily a bash on the church. It was personally, I was just tired of... Priorities are messed up, isn't it? I was tired of going to church, man, to be honest with you. I mean, priorities are messed. The priorities are not in the right place. Yeah. And the heart of some people are not in the right place. You know what I mean? It's just take, and, we want to look good. Yeah. But one thing I noticed, actually, Tim, is on some, like, interesting thing about Ghana is, right, these are some things I've noticed, right? Like, you could see people throughout a day-to-day basis. When it gets to Sunday, I don't care where you're from. It could be a village. It could be a town. It could be cantonments, airport, Ossu, whatever. You're gonna see people rock their Sunday best. Yeah, yeah. And then you're gonna see people that you thought didn't really have money dress well, look. I'm telling you, good. I'm like, yo, didn't you do this the other day? Didn't you say that the other day? I'm like, okay. And you're going to church? Okay, cool, interesting. And then the way you see people flock to churches on New Year's Eve and Easter, all those whatever days, you understand? I find it fascinating. But then the same people would do X, Y, and Z. Yeah. So there's a lot of double standards, there's a lot of hypocrisy. Yeah. There are good, but when you do find, honest, faithful, transparent Christians and leaders, they're really good people. And I think what it shows is, for me, what it made me think about is like culture transcends even religion. So, for example, because of a lot of conditions in Ghana, such as poverty, economics, education, it creates a certain culture in Ghana, a culture of some of the negative things. Like, well, the positive things are the resourcefulness, the innovation, people hustle. Charlie, in Ghana, people hustle.
Yeah.
Sometimes the negative parts are the bribery, the corruption, and all that. All that's a part of the culture.
It's part of it, yeah.
So that is so strong that even though we are religious, that cultural aspect, listen, just because I love God doesn't mean that I'm going to have food on Monday. So on Monday, I'm still going to do what I have to do because, remember, I may go to a church that pacifies me and tells me to pray about it. And it's very similar in the States. And that's one of the reasons why I stopped going, because in the States, you literally, in a lot of African-American communities, the way Ghana churches are, there are so many, it's the same thing there. It's the same thing there.
Yeah, there's so many churches.
And they're just, and me and one of my colleagues, we joked and said, a lot of the churches just need to be torn down. Like, nobody gets hurt, obviously. Yeah. But like, just close it, just because some of them, in my opinion, are doing more damage than good.
100,000,000%. I told my friend that some of the churches are probably doing more damage than some of the nightclubs. You see?
No, seriously. Yeah. Seriously, because when you have a person that can blindly follow someone, it can become very dangerous. And if you don't help a person tap into the creativity and the innovation that God has given them, like, this is what I think about. How is it possible, right, that people can come from the outside, and any place, Ghana, the U.S., any place, right? Yeah. And the land we're sitting on, you say, there's nothing here. But somebody else comes in and say, wow, I see a building here. I see this. I see this. I see this. Yeah. Or you take, let's say, some herb or something. You say, man, this is rubbish. Yeah. But then somebody else can come and say, no. I can create this, and this, and this. The only difference between those two people is exposure and information. Yeah. And so what I think about is, how is it that if Ghana is nothing and all, listen, if the only thing we had to do was pray, then the whole of Africa would be the most developed continent in the world. Ooh. Because Africans are some of the most praying people. But what happens is we don't have a theology that is connected to the practical things of God versus some of these things that are not as practical, right? We pray, you just come and pray, you just do the right thing, but we're not having leaders that really challenge people to think about, how do we solve the education issues that we have in Ghana? How do we solve the doomsor? Yeah. Like, how do we solve these real issues that people are facing? Yeah. Because God has given us why is
Thank
it?
You.
Yeah, I don't want to go on. I'm going on a soapbox, man. No, I'll go on a soapbox, man.
Preach, Pastor Tim.
I'll go on a soapbox.
You see what I said by this guy that you can't put in the box? I mean, he does so much, and you can give him so many titles.
But then it comes back down to me too, because after I do all this, that's why for me it's like, okay, now I'm passionate about doing what I'm doing, because after I point the finger at everybody else, I have to say, okay, Tim, what is God giving you the ability and the space and time to do right now? Yeah, you focus on that. Mm-hmm. And then that's what you're supposed to be doing. And I think that if we had people who were doing that, and I'm not the standard by no means, but I just believe that, I just got tired of going to church, man. To be honest with you, I was in a place where, like, I was really questioning a lot of things. And I think it's okay. Like, there was a rapper who is like he's like a freaking legend, right? in Christian hip hop. Yeah. And he recently came out and basically, he didn't say he's anti-church and nothing like that, but he basically said, I'm struggling and I feel like I cannot participate in the type of Christianity that I was used to participating in because I have all these questions. And to continue to participate in it would be disingenuous and not authentic. Okay. So I'm choosing to remove myself from it.
Okay, I think I know what you're talking about, but yeah, go on.
And I understand where he's coming from, because I think that the faith journey is just that, it's a journey. Man, you have questions that sometimes you don't have answered. Yeah. And I think that, when you have questions and stuff like that, I don't think there's anything wrong with taking a break. You know what I'm saying? So I took a break. I still have I'm actually going to church now. Okay. I found a good church, but I had a community of great people that I've been connected with, good godly people where they can check me and say, hey, you're wrong in this. You're arrogant. You're being prideful. You need I have accountability. And so, and after a while, let's just be honest. A lot of us are going to church for nothing. We're not getting anything out of it. True. We go to church. True. When church is finished, what did you learn? Oh, Charlie, I don't know. But it was nice.
I think you said in one of your videos, like people they dress up because it's all we know, right? We dress up. We go on Sundays. We know we have to dress up. We go to church. We go to the sermon. We speak to people after church.
Yeah, that's all we know.
It became more of a routine than actual relationship with God, right?
Yeah.
And that's the problem. Yeah, I mean, these are topics that we can go in for hours and hours.
Yeah.
I want to know about Anidaso 360, your organization. Let's just talk more about that.
Yeah. So the word Anidaso is hope, and tree, and I'm sure I'm mispronouncing it, but so we chose that because just like this conversation we're having, a colleague of mine, we had this conversation, and we said, we have to do something, right? We have to start something. So we started the organization. I met him in Ghana, actually. He's an Black American, and I met him in Ghana. We stayed connected over the years. And one day we were in my kitchen, and we were talking about problems just like we're talking about, and both of us in education. And we said, listen, we hear too many conversations that end with no application. And we challenged each other. We said, listen, if we don't do something about this, then we're just like everybody else. And the conversation was, well, what can we do? And we started assessing, well, what have been the most transformative agents of our lives? Number one, it's our relationship with God. It's our relationship with the continent and knowing who we are as African descended peoples. And it's our ability to, we know how to move in society.
Navigate,
So let's just start right there. We had no money. we had a little bit of money.
Okay, bootstrapped.
I don't recommend this to people when you start an organization, but we invested like $20,000 of our own money. Bringing people, it was a group of, I think, like 12 African-American men, college age, 5 weeks here in Ghana, to Leadership Challenge. Our goal was to...
So you pay them to come?
So we pay for them to come,
Oh, wow.
I mean, through scholarship. I mean, they had to raise money. But through through the scholarships, the trips to get here, the setup and all that, it was at least about $20,000.
Of course.
It's
a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
It's not cheap.
And our only vision was to basically, at that time we didn't have a vision. Our vision now is to revitalize disenfranchised communities. But our vision was, let's just help Black men. At the time it was only men. Now it's open up to men and women. Let's help Black men know who God has created them to be. And we know a central part of that is reconnecting with the continent. And so we said, what do we do with this whole Christian piece? We're not doing a mission trip because that's not what we do. Okay, well, let's infuse some biblical principles. So we created Ghana 360. The Ghana 360 program focuses on spiritual, culture, professional development. Spiritual, where we go into the scriptures, we look at African theologians, we look at, Pan-African leaders, and we draw out these principles. Cultural, because obviously we're connecting them with, even hearing from African lecturers and stuff like that. And then the professional development piece, actually leadership development, is focused on things like health and wellness,
Health and wellness.
So every day we would start our day with exercise.
Wow.
And it was mandatory. It was compulsory. Like you couldn't get out of it. And so our goal was, when you go back to the States, we want you to exemplify biblical leadership. How to utilize this system, because there's a lot of opportunity in this system.
There is.
And whatever God has called you to do it to the best of your ability.
Amen.
Utilize the loans, the grants, all the stuff, the education that you get here. But now, do it with a purpose. Do it with a purpose. And if we can help you do that, then, you know what I'm saying, we've accomplished our goal. So long story short, man, through the years, we evolved from just a men-only trip to men and women, just from college age to all ages. And so now we mobilize people to come back and forth to the continent. And we're looking actually to create more experiences within the African diaspora. 2 other places we're looking at right now is Jamaica and Brazil.
Wow.
Because Brazil got actually the highest number of enslaved Africans through this transatlantic slave trade. And that has a significant impact on how the community was formed. And Jamaica, because that's a whole different experience of being, a person of African descent. And it's logistically, it's a whole lot closer to the States and a whole lot less expensive,
Wow. That's breathtaking. I mean, and how's the journey been in terms of like starting it and then where it is today? Like, has it been worth it? Like some of the transformations that you've seen people go through. I mean, this is like very unselfish. Like,
it's not easy, man.
It's not easy, man.
Charlie.
It's not easy.
Sometimes I look back and I'm just like, I'm grateful we didn't know what we know now back then.
Really?
Yeah, because we wouldn't have started. Because when you go through the process of knowing like the legal ramifications, the financial ramifications, like accountants, lawyers, and
it's too much.
It's the risk when you bring somebody here, even though they sign liabilities, but it's too much. So I'm grateful that we were ignorant in the beginning. The question is it worth it? Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Because I think about my experience. That it was a missions trip, but that trip to Africa in 2007 with the Impact Movement literally was a catalyst of my spiritual and cultural transformation.
Wow. So, but let me get this right. Because of the experience that you had on that trip and the experiences you encountered in Ghana, you basically wanted everybody else, back in the States, to experience this.
Yeah, I mean, that trip...
Or as many as people as possible.
It just changed my mind.
Yeah.
And I came back again in 2013 with another missions trip. Mm-hmm. And that was actually the trip that made me realize I need to bring people back to Ghana.
Yeah.
And then I think a year later, I started having those conversations with my friend.
Wow.
But it was that trip that made me realize I forgot what this felt like, you know?
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I have to bring other people back.
Okay. When's the next? Do you have programs planned for this year? How often do you do it? Do you?
Yeah. So usually they're once a year. Right now we're actually working on scaling up so we can do multiple ones.
Okay.
We're looking at the latter part of the year, but the dates have not been solidified as of yet.
Okay. Yeah, because of COVID as well. COVID is always.
COVID is
it's been quite a nuisance. It's hard to plan things with COVID being around as well. So hopefully that's something that can come to light this year.
Hey, we pray.
Really powerful stuff. And I want to wrap the episode with this question here, Tim. So, of course, you've moved to Ghana. Obviously, you still go back to the States here and there, etc. How do you see, or why do you believe that people need to relocate to Africa, just like you've relocated? What other reasons would you say that people need to relocate to Africa, or to Ghana, and to, give their skill sets to the continent? And what do you think the future of Africa is like?
Man, that's a great question. I think that, to be clear, my primary focus is people of African descent, particularly African Americans and those in the diaspora, first.
Yeah.
So that's primarily who I'm speaking to when I give my response. Mm-hmm. I think for a lot of us, we don't know our histories and our legacies. And just like for myself, it was absolutely transformative just to be in an environment. I'm not talking about educational, politically, economically, but just to be in that environment. And what I experienced is what, as you said, the other person on your podcast and so many other people say, right?
Yeah.
And it literally transforms our paradigm.
Wow.
There's some research connected to that, which is what my colleague does. He talks about these cultural immersion experiences and their impact on our cognitive framework.
Yeah.
But I think that number one, particularly if I'm starting with people in the diaspora, I think that let's talk about economically, right? They say that this is what's called the third scramble for Africa, because you have so many Western nations that are coming in who see the opportunities in every arena.
Oh, yeah.
Agriculture, technology, fintech. You name it.
You name it, yeah.
It's like if you had the opportunity a long time ago, if you knew what you knew now, and you could have invested in Bitcoin when it was, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Or a long time ago, if you could foresee the future, you saw, hey, man, Apple's going to be, I think, one of the first $1 trillion companies or whatever.
Yeah.
And you saw that way back then, you would have jumped in.
True.
Well, a lot of these other nations, because of all the research they do about business, they look at Africa not for where it is right now, but for where they want it to be.
Yeah, it's an emerging.
And I think that we have to look at it with the same lens, not just for our own cultural and spiritual enlightenment and well-being, but the opportunity, because we do bring a lot of skills and opportunities and resources, to, let's just say, Ghana, where we could come and we have an idea about something, and the reality is it's a whole lot less red tape to make that idea come into fruition.
Yeah.
But not only that, I think the impact of that idea, obviously, if it's beneficial to the people, it goes a long way.
It does go a long way. And these are stories, stories that you've covered a lot in your YouTube channel, right? Yeah, very, very powerful. You guys need to check out this Tim Swain's YouTube channel. If you enjoyed content like this, you need to watch the content and get to know the people that he's met and the ideas that people have executed from the West and brought it to Ghana. Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, so I think now is just an opportunity, and I think that I don't even think that people need to relocate. I just think we need to change our relationship with the continent. Our relationship with the continent it really has nothing to offer unless it's philanthropic, or missional.
Yeah, it's the stereotypical.
Let me come and do a mission trip, or let me come and give back.
Yeah.
But that's the extent of our relationship.
Yeah.
But if we can reimagine that this is a place of cultural exchange,
Yeah.
economic exchange, educational exchange,
Yeah.
then I think that we could transform how we see each other.
Yeah.
And we can transform even the relationships that we could develop. Because you got to get some money. But once you get some money to do it, I mean, that is not free.
It's not free.
But it's worth it.
Yeah, it's worth it.
It's worth it.
It's worth it. Oh man, I mean, there's so many stories we could probably be here to talk about.
Yeah.
Mr. Tim Swain, you have been amazing, man.
Yeah, and thank you so much, man, for the opportunity and all the work that you're doing, man.
Nah, man, thank you for the opportunity for coming on the show. Like I said, I'm really big fan of everything that you're doing. So there you have it, guys. That's the episode of Mr. Tim Swain here. Where can people find you, actually?
Everything, I think now is Tim Swain.
Okay.
Yeah, so just Tim Swain, YouTube, Instagram. I have my information now. I usually respond to emails a whole lot quicker than sometimes a DM or a comment. You know?
I like that. I mean, you got to keep first things first, right?
Yeah. So
there you go.
There you go.
There you go. And do you have any announcements that you want to make?
Come on back. Hey, and I'm starting. I got a consulting company, got a book coming out that's going to help you relocate to Ghana. It's actually going to break down all the tips and just all the lessons that I spent a lot of money learning. I'm giving it to you for a significant discount. So that's coming out really soon, man. I got a book that's coming out that's helping people relocate to the continent.
I'm excited about that. I'll probably grab a copy, even though I probably know most of the stuff. But anyway, I mean, I'm really glad that you're kind of using your experience in, being here in Ghana to give back and to also, use to kind of benefit yourself. I mean, why not a little bit?
Yeah.
We all got to eat. There was one person that actually, you know what, Tim? There was actually one person who moved. She came to Ghana, I think maybe for like a month or two. And then she was already claiming to be a relocation expert. Like, I can't stand that. I mean, you've been back here for how many years? So you definitely in your rights to come out with this book. So I'm looking forward to it. So we'll have everything in the show notes. thesoundofaccra.com/Tim Swain. So that's TIMSWAIN. Or if you're watching the YouTube, just click the link below. If you're listening on the podcast platforms, just check out the link on the podcast platform for the show notes. And we'll have Tim's upcoming book. We'll have all the information in terms of where you can get your hands on it or where you can pre-order it, etc. Before we end the episode, Tim, what is the sound of Accra to you? So if someone said the word Accra to you, what thoughts, feelings, vibes come to mind from the top of your head?
The beautiful struggle.
The beautiful struggle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the street hawkers or just someone just trying to get through the day just to survive. The beautiful struggle.
Beautiful struggle.
Beautiful. All right. Well, there you have it, guys. Thank you again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. I've been Adrian Daniels, and you've been
Tim Swain.
Thank you. See you again. Bye-bye.